Everybody. No? Chicken dance? No? It's Oktoberfest weekend. So, okay, hold on. There we go. Stop. It's Oktoberfest weekend in Cincinnati, or Cincinnati, as they like to say. I am of German heritage, hence the German hat that I actually got in Germany. It's true. So it's real. And so I'll be heading to Oktoberfest. It's my birthday today. And so here I am recording a Journalism 201 video for you on my birthday. And I'm going to the Reds game this evening, which, so at least Oktoberfest will be fun, right? Okay, let's get to it. I hope you're having a good weekend. I went to the Miami UC football game last night. Stayed there till the end with my son Charlie. We will not talk about the end of that game ever. Ever. Number one, you have a supplemental with this lecture, so if you want to open that up, you need to pause me, and I'm going to try to get through this as quickly as I can. So number one is notes on quizzes, just to let you know why I do that. A skill of journalists is to be able to take good notes and then use those notes to write good stories. So that's why I allow you to have any notes that you take in class, or if there's ever a time where I ask you to do some leads in class, you're allowed to use that types of leads document. There's no sense in me making you memorize that stuff when it should just be a resource for you. So that's why I let you use notes on quizzes. I want to talk just briefly about quiz 3. Bloom's taxonomy asks you to think on different levels. For example, knowledge. If we talk about paragraph structure, knowledge is the lowest level of thinking possible. Do you know what a paragraph is? Do you? Yes, you do. Oh, good. So that's the knowledge level. Comprehension is the second lowest level of thinking, and that's, that would be a question like, do you understand why paragraph structure is important to help readers understand the text? Why it is important to break up paragraphs. If you understand that, that's comprehension. Good for you. Then analysis comes. When you read, and remember, one of the things on your big list, your list of things and stuff, is to read everything you get. And so now I'm hoping when you read, you are looking at paragraph structure, and you are seeing the ways that writers use purposeful paragraph and sentence structure to affect the way you read, the pace and the understanding. And finally, application. Now that you understand that, you analyze it, and the highest level of thinking is evaluation. You judge which writers do it well or maybe struggle at it. Then I want you to be able to apply it. That's the application level. Can you take what you know and understand? Can you see the patterns, how things are done? Can you judge what's good or not so good? Then can you apply it in your own writing? Every time you turn stuff in, you need to be thinking of paragraph structure. Now, as I said, structure is an art. It's objective when it comes to periods, when you need a period, when it goes. When it comes to structure, that's a little bit more subjective. And so, like art is subjective, so at times that you can have an argument on what the correct structure is to use for paragraphs. I put on your supplement, this is one student's effort on that quiz that matched what I would have done. I'm not saying I'm correct, I'm not saying the student is correct, but this is exactly how I would have chopped it up. And notice how short these paragraphs are. The first paragraph is one sentence. The company seemed like a perfect place for George. And then the next paragraph is only 2 sentences. The next paragraph is 2 sentences and then a quote. And then you have another paragraph that's 3 sentences, one that's 1, and then one that's 1 again. So this is all about pacing. This makes it very easy for us to read the story, especially when it comes to pacing. If you look at the end of the story, this student decided to add drama to the end, this slowing down of the pace, just like we saw in the Christopher Dorner story with the man in the hotel room as he's getting ready to click on the computer. So that's drama, that's purposeful paragraph structure. Some of you did it a little differently. I'm not going to take points off if you do it a little differently than how I would do it. What I will say is this, if you've reached 4 sentences in your paragraph, that's in journalism, the world of journalism, that's probably too much unless you're doing it purposely and you can argue for it. Okay? All right. Moving on to number 3. um, is applying your list of things and stuff. I expect you to start applying these things we discussed. So I didn't. I tried not to take off too many points early. I want you to feel confident and successful as you're working through the things that we are doing in this class. But things are going to get a little tougher for you in here, and they should be. The expectations should grow as you start to feel more comfortable about things in this class. So look through your list of things and stuff. You know, when you write in here, I expect you to have an engaging lead, even if it's just a sentence, something different than everybody else. You know, your lead on that quiz 2, for instance, shouldn't have been Fox News and Friends had a segment where they talked about Barack Obama possibly apologizing to Japan. That's anybody can write that lead. You know, start with, you know, sometimes apologies aren't the right thing to do, and that's just like a general sentence, and then it brings us into the specifics of your story. So think about your lead, everything you do. Think about your paragraph structure. Think about avoiding I think, I feel, in my opinion, all those phrases. And remember to write like yourself, write who you are, be who you are when you write. So that means contractions, that means avoiding trying to write for school. Just write naturally, please, in the things that you do in here. Read everything you can get your hands on, because when you do, you're going to see these elements. Don't read to memorize. Read to understand why this writer is doing what he or she is doing. So I gave you 3 different links to look at: a story about Ted Williams, a story about Harry Leslie Smith, and then a Fox News editorial. You don't need to read all the whole story. I just want you to look at the first few paragraphs and then answer some questions. So you're going to pause me in a minute, and I want you to answer the following questions in your brain. You don't need to write anything down. What type of lead are these leads in the first 2 stories? So yes, I want you to open up your types of leads document, see if you can identify what these leads are. What do you like or maybe not like about the leads? Maybe you like them. I'm talking about the first 2 stories here on Ted Williams and Harry Leslie Smith. Uh, um, what do you maybe you like both of them? Maybe you like only 1 or 2 of them. Your decision, but you have to justify why you like or don't like those leads. Is the paragraph structure effective? Do you like the structure of both of those stories? What do you like or don't like about it? I want you to notice, see if you can figure out which story was written in 1960, paragraph structure wise, and which was written more recently. Bet you can figure that out right away. In the editorial, in the last story, I want you to count the number of and this is a professional writer, count the number of I think, I feel, I believe, to me, personally, in my opinion, all those different phrases. Count how many you need. Here's a hint, or how many you read. Here's a hint. You won't need a calculator. Here's another hint. You won't count anything. They don't exist in there because the best writers avoid them. All right? You're about to get more things to work on. We have this AP style book sections that are due for Tuesday. We're going to start going through those. Those now are things that you should be applying in your writing. Those are things that I'm going to think about when I'm evaluating your writing. So I'm expecting you to do those things. All right? All right, we're moving on to the Beat project. I have downloaded or uploaded, I guess, into Canvas the Beat project assignment. So if you would, please pause me, open that up, and then come back to me. My goals so far this semester, I know you're probably reading it right now, so if you can stop reading it just for a second, I'm going to go through it all. And the reason why I'm recording the video is because it's such an important project. I want you to hear the project and not just read it on your own passively. So, look away from the document for a minute and focus on the goal of this. My goal so far this semester was to try to convince you in the power of listening to others, in the power of going out and being there, and not living life passively, and in allowing people to tell their story without other people judging them. And so you've heard the story of a few people. Maya Angelou deciding to be there, and by being there, by going to jail for something she believed in. J.K. Rowling deciding at the nadir of her life to take a chance and write a book. Martin Luther King Jr. being there at the bridge in Selma and crossing the bridge. The police officer in the Humans of New York story, deciding to go out and be a police officer and understand the lives of other people that he, up to that point, had denigrated so much. All of those, all of those are purposeful stories why I had you do them, because now it's time for you to be there. Time for you to go out and talk to people, to learn their stories, and I hope then tell their stories very well. So think of the power that you possess as a journalist, which is exactly what you're going to be this semester. That you have this awesome opportunity and a responsibility to be the voice of someone else. It's exciting, it's scary, it's exhilarating, it's all those things. And I hope you embrace it. I hope you're excited to be a journalist this semester and to go out and tell the story of others. Oh, I'm so excited for you. I want to do the project too. Can I? Can I? No? Okay. So your goal is to find a beat that's feasible, that you can do, and to make sure that what you cover, you're going to go to an event, you're going to talk to people, that what you're covering is news. And I'm going to say this over and over again. 3 components to news. Is it relevant? Which means is there a reason why right now you're talking about this news, this beat? There needs to be relevance. That means something has had to have happened recently that justifies you telling the story. I could I could cover RAs, for instance, as my beat, the life of a resident assistant. But why am I doing this? And readers, all of us, when we start to read a story, we are constantly asking the question, so what? Why am I reading this? What's the point of this? You have to be able to justify that. Something has had to have happened in the news that says this is worth covering. Could be a tough question to ask for you or to answer. And if it is, then talk with me. Remember, I'm your editor through this project. So you have to reach out to me. We discuss it, and you discuss it with other people, and we find the justification for doing it. For instance, college is expensive. And so a way to defray the cost of college is to work during college. And some people choose to be RAs to offset that cost. So now we're getting to a justification. This incredible increase in tuition and room and board in college from 20 years ago. And so now you have a reason to cover the life of an RA, and now you go out and you find these statistics through the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years of the cost of college and why students now more than ever are having to find ways to supplement their college lives. Now you're on your way. Now you've convinced me this is a worthwhile story. I want to read it now. All right? So that's relevant. Is it useful? Absolutely, because there are a bunch of people who will read your story who are in college or thinking about college or have kids who are going to go to college. They need to see what you're about to uncover about the cost of college and life at college these days. Is it interesting? That all sounds very interesting to me. Okay? All right, so if you look at the Beat Project assignment in Canvas that I've uploaded, again, pause me and grab it if you haven't gotten it, and then come back to me. Okay, I'm gonna walk through the assignment with you. Did I open it? Oh, yes. The due date of this project is Tuesday, October 31st. Now that's a date that in my pea-sized brain I think is just perfect, but it might not be. As we go through the project together, I'm flexible on due dates. It just depends on what comes up between now and that due date. So, but as of now, that's going to be the final due date. This is 200 points, which is 20% of your overall semester grade. I know that's a lot, but have confidence that you're going to be able to tackle this thing and do it well. So the goals is for you to plan and carry out interviews. You're going to observe activity in your beat. You have to be there. You have to research contextual aspects of your beat. So you're going to go get stats and information to put in your story. You will then visualize it and think critically during the analysis of everything you find. So you're going to be gathering a bunch of stuff. You're going to be talking to a bunch of people, and you have to sift through that and do the highest level of Bloom's taxation. Evaluate what information you have, what's worthy, and what can you just throw out. The foundation for this is that you're going to use all of this information to write 2 major stories in this semester that are each worth 150 points. That's 300 more points. So that's 500 points. That's half your grade of this entire semester. And there are two different articles. One is the Beat News narrative, and one is a Beat focus story. Don't worry about those stories right now. Those are weeks and weeks away. So if you start fretting that you are going to have to write these stories, then that's going to put a lot of pressure on you. You've got plenty of other stuff to worry about before you get to the stories. So let's look at the main steps. Number one, you need to choose a beat. On Tuesday, I'm going to ask that you have come to a decision on a beat. Not officially, but you have a pretty good idea of what you want to cover. To be able to choose your beat, though, officially, you need to do number two, which is to research it. Now remember, in chapter 14 and on your quiz, this is the first step of covering a beat. You need to research your beat. The history, the national trends, the local trends, the costs, the demographics. So that's like race, socioeconomics, the location of the buildings and offices here at Miami or in Oxford, and the key people involved. So if you're dealing with drinking culture, who are the key people in the drinking culture? Well, you've got the police, you've got Oscar, you have students, of course. So you need to start coming up with specific people. These are called stakeholders, who you might be able to talk to, specific names if you can, on these folks. You want to discuss the beat with your editor. That's me. I'm your editor. And you're going to discuss it with others. That's your classmates, that's your roommate, that's your parents, whoever else. And the stakeholders, those people who, which I'll get to in number three. You need to start to establish what your story angles might be. Yes, it's a hypothesis. Yes, journalists do this. They think they know where it's going to go, where the information is going to lead them. But it's only human to do that, and there's nothing wrong with doing that as long as you keep an open mind through the process that your hypothesis might change. And I reiterate there in number two that your beat must be relevant, useful, and interesting. We'll make sure it is. I want to make sure that you're not going to go through this whole thing and then write stories and I'm going to say there's no relevance. Number three, you're going to talk to key people. That means you're going to go visit people. Your official interviews have to be done in person, not by email, not by phone. So you need to visit these stakeholders from your beat. These people here in number three, along with your editor, which is me, and your classmates, will help you solidify story angles. So they're going to know way more about your beat than I do. And they'll assist you in determining other people to talk to. Those people are going to help you find the best people to interview and the best places to go to observe your events. Also, number three, once you determine story angles, you're going to decide who the essential people are to interview, the essential students and instructors and administrators and whoever. And you're going to be required to talk to a variety of people to gain a full understanding of your beat and also the essential places where you should go. So, for instance, if we take the drinking culture, your classmates and you know better where you should go, where you're going to see the best examples of the drinking culture. I'm assuming Brick Street is one of those places. In 1992, when I was at Miami, Brick Street would have not been one of those places. It wasn't open. It wasn't Brick Street. So I would know better than you would where to go if we're assuming I partook in things like that. Number four, you need to observe your beat. And so I put in here whether it's a weight room at 6 a.m., you might have to do that, or a late night group study session at King Library. We have a library. A 2:30 p.m. biology class, skippers at 2 a.m., wherever it is, you've got to be there. And you need to you're going to jot down notes on what you see physically, the types of people there, what you hear, sounds and smells, anything you have. You want to add detail to your observation. You have to observe in this project 3 different observations. They have to be different. So you can't, if it's a drinking culture, you can't go to Brick Street 3 times. You need to look for different observations, and you'll discuss with me, your editor, and other people what those observations might be. The second bulleted item in number 4 says that each event should coincide with a different angle based on your beat. The third bulleted item, you're going to interview for each of those observations 3 people at minimum. So that means a total of 9 people that you'll interview at minimum. Note that these need to be different types of people. So if let's say one of your observations, if we're sticking with a drinking culture, is Brick Street, you can't interview 3 drunk co-eds at Brick. Well, you can if you want, but you need 3 different people that deal with the issue of drinking at an uptown bar like Brick Street. So a student who goes there often would be one. A police officer that has to deal with them could be another. Maybe an instructor who has to deal with the academic side of things, of students who party too much or too social and struggle academically would be a third person. And part of that academic look would be on the bar scene and how frequent students go to the bars. I put in another example there in that third bulleted item under number 4 about the Talawanda School District. So if you want to pause me and read about that. You have to take 2 photos at each observation. Number 1, this proves you actually went, or at least somebody went and took pictures for you, but I'm hoping you did it. Do the best you can with the quality of the pictures. I'm not going to take off points for bad pictures. We'll talk about good picture taking that I hope you can apply that skill, but do the best you can. This is a writing class, not a photography class. You'll take 2 pictures and you're going to write cut lines, and we'll go through how to write cut lines for those photos. You're also going to record a video at each of these observations. There are 3 observations. At the end of the project, you're going to edit that video and you're going to record yourself talking, doing a voiceover on the video. Again, this is not professionally done. This is a way for you to put that word convergence on your resume and be truthful about it. You wrote, you edited, you researched, you interviewed, you took pictures, you took video, you did it all. And now you're going to be able to say that you can do it all. Each video really only from each observation needs to be only about 20 seconds because the entire video will be 1 minute long. And you're going to write out a script and do a voiceover. And again, this is at the end of the project, so don't worry about that right now. We'll get to it. I'll show you student examples of a video, of videos, so you'll know exactly what you need to do. For this project, for each observation, if you look at the last bulleted item under number 4, you're going to fill out a form, an observation form detailing what you observed. That's almost the entire point value of this project. Each of those forms is worth 65 points, and you'll walk through all of the different observation details that you saw. Here are the deadlines in red of these observations. The first one's due on Tuesday, October 10th, so that gives you about 3 weeks before you have to do your first observation. Plenty of time to research and get a bunch of learn, and find out who the stakeholders are, talk to the stakeholders, and determine your observations. And then the observations come a little quicker after the first one on the 10th. 9 days later, you'll have the second observation due, and then about 11 days later, that last observation, and that's the official deadline of the entire project. So that's 195 of the 200 total points. The last one, number 5, is you're going to hand draw or digitally create a map of your beat. You've seen these maps accompanying stories. For instance, if there's a car accident in a news story, sometimes there's a graphic artist, who will design a picture of that wreck, a map to kind of help you it helps readers visualize where the wreck was in that part of town and how it occurred. So you can read through that. That's worth 5 points. That's not due until the end of the entire project. Okay. Well, you're going to see examples. I'll give you examples of what an observation, a good one looks like and a bad one looks like. You're going to be expected to go through what's called the 4 stages of writing. We haven't gotten there yet. We'll get there to that in the next week or 2. So you're going to be graded on your ability to go through those stages, and you'll be turning everything in on Canvas. What else do I want to say? The important thing is that there's no time to dawdle or delay on this project. Now's the time to talk with me, text me, email me, see me in my office hours, whatever it takes. But chat with me and let me know what you're thinking about, and we can figure out the beat project together. As I said in class, the students who do the best on this they're talking to me all the time, and making sure they're doing the right things, talking to the right people, asking the right questions. Number one, though, you need to make sure that your beat is feasible. Um, I'm sorry, that it's relevant, useful, and interesting. You got to do that. And then the next thing, is it feasible? Are there events to cover? Are there things to observe? Are there stakeholders out there?